D.C. allowed 388 foreign nationals to vote in the 2024 general election. As far as I'm concerned, the votes of 388 American citizens were negated by these votes. So one of the first big issues, and I don't think I mentioned this, is election integrity that Trump has to address when he's in office. And it's not only like generally where we need voter ID, we need to clean up the list. Of course, Judicial Watch is second to none in cleaning up voter lists. 4 million in the last 2 years or so. Dirty names have been removed from the rolls in various states thanks to Judicial Watch. Ensuring that ballots are counted when they're supposed to be counted, not days and weeks, if not ballots that arrive days and weeks after the election. They shouldn't be counted under law. We've got cases on that, including a major appellate court case that found that counting of ballots received after Election Day is contrary to federal law. We've got ongoing lawsuits to clean up the rolls. And another major concern is ensuring that non-citizens don't vote in the elections illegally, or frankly legally, because localities can supposedly let, under law, non-citizens vote in local races. And they're doing that here in our nation's capital. So, as far as I'm concerned, the ambassador from Russia can vote for mayor here in D.C. And as we've previously found, because we've been investigating this, it doesn't look like they're doing anything significant enough here in D.C. to ensure that non-citizens are only voting in the races they're able to vote in. Meaning, we got a list of names of people who voted in, quote, the presidential primary. What does that mean? Did they vote in the presidential primary? That would be illegal, but the list says they did. And we keep on asking, give us information showing that you're just keeping these people limited to where you say they're being limited, not voting in federal elections. They haven't provided anything and keep on providing information suggesting otherwise. And it's not just limited to non-citizens in the sense that someone with a permanent green card here is voting in the D.C. mayor's race or whatever. Not illegal aliens can vote. And Judicial Watch just uncovered the details about the D.C. November election. 388 non-citizens voted in D.C.'s November election. We got the list. I can't show you the list because it lists their names and addresses. And no, I'm not giving them to you. You can ask the D.C. government separately for the list. It's public information. 230 of the non-citizens are registered Democrats. So it shows you, at least in D.C., where the political inclinations are of non-citizen voters, that the left wants to be able to vote in all elections, local and federal. Less than 20 are registered Republicans. So what's 20 of 230? It's about 10%. Actually, there are probably a little more Republicans in the non-citizen population, relatively speaking, than in the citizen population. And the remainder of those are independent or registered with a third party. The list does not detail whether the voters are illegal aliens, nor whether the non-citizen voters were restricted, as law requires, to voting for only local D.C. offices. As I said earlier, in July 2024, Judicial Watch reported that data from the District of Columbia Board of Elections revealed that 113 non-citizens voted in the 2024 presidential primary. That fact, by the way, has been censored on Facebook. I think it's still censored on Facebook. That shows you how desperate the left is to keep the truth about non-citizen voting away from the American people. It's an outrage and an insult to every American citizen and may be a violation of federal law, because I don't think they're keeping these folks from voting in federal elections as law requires. I mean, I've seen no evidence they have yet. So it may be a violation of federal law that D.C. allowed 388 foreign nationals to vote in the 2024 general election. As far as I'm concerned, the votes of 388 American citizens were negated by these votes. Now, let's say they just legally voted in the local elections, non-citizens who were even legally here or illegally here. I don't think they should be able to vote in any American elections. Citizens should be the only ones voting in elections. And to have citizens vote, non-citizens voting in elections cancels out, in my view, the votes of citizens. Congress can and should end this practice immediately. And by that I mean that Congress has constitutional power over the District of Columbia. It has plenary power over the District of Columbia. Congress is king in the District of Columbia under our Constitution. There isn't anything that happens in the District of Columbia without the approval or acquiescence of Congress. So if Congress didn't want these people to be registered to vote and vote, these non-citizens, it would not happen. Now, there was a fight last Congress about it. It went nowhere because of the, President Biden was president and Democrats controlled the Senate. This should be high on the list, don't you think? Congress should exercise jurisdiction over the District of Columbia to ensure that a Republican form of government continues in the District of Columbia. There's a particular need for that in our nation's capital. Now the good news is D.C. is one of those places that we were successful in able to clean and getting names cleaned off the rolls. Did you know that? They removed 65,000 names from the rolls after we threatened a lawsuit. So good for D.C. in that regard. But they undermine the rule of law and election integrity and, as I say, the very nature of citizenship by allowing non-citizens, including illegal aliens, to vote. So not only do they undermine citizenship, but they undermine the rule of law explicitly by giving the benefit of the right to vote to people who are here in violation of law. So the Russian and Chinese ambassadors can vote in D.C., and so can the illegal alien gangbanger who came up from Venezuela on a migrant flight paid for with tax dollars under the Biden regime. It needs to stop, and Congress needs to stop it now. And we've got the receipts. So Judicial Watch, again, doing the heavy lifting and showing the leadership there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.